Okay, my rant today from HartmannReport.com is titled, "Is the final stage," probably I should have used the word scene there, but "is the final stage for the GOP and democracy the 2022 election?" And I started out by talking about Congressman Steve Scalise. Steve Scalise is the congressman from Louisiana. He's the number 2 Republican in the House of Representatives. He's the whip under Kevin McCarthy. He's the guy who ran for office saying that he was David Duke without the baggage. Even David Duke, by the way, pushed back on that. My hot link to that quote, the quote's all over the internet, but my hot link to that quote is to an article about David Duke saying, wait a minute, you're no David Duke, but he's close enough, right? He got elected. So Steve Scalise is now talking to Republican members of the House of Representatives. Keep in mind, he's the number 2 Republican in the House behind Kevin McCarthy. He's talking to these people and saying, please do not vote to refer Steve Bannon to the Department of Justice for a criminal contempt citation for contempt of Congress. In other words, we, the Republicans in the House of Representatives, are just fine with some guy saying, screw you, to a congressional subpoena. Let that sink in for a minute. My father's Republican Party is now the modern-day Confederacy, and Republicans' defense of Steve Bannon defying subpoenas this week pretty much proves it, in my opinion. And if it keeps moving in the same direction, we may see this turn into a full-blown racist strongman oligarchy. I mean, the racist and big money poisons really began in the GOP in the 1950s with the Brown versus Board of Education ruling from the Supreme Court. This activated the racists, frankly, in both parties, the Democratic and Republican parties. But the Democratic Party repudiated those racists just a decade later in 1964 and 65 with the Civil Rights and the Voting Rights Act. And just 3 years later, Richard Nixon, with his Southern strategy, reached out to the white racists, particularly in the South, and said, hey, you know, the Democrats don't want you guys anymore. They want to have a multiracial society. Oh, my God. A multiracial democracy. And so come on with me, Richard Nixon. And we can, you know, we'll keep this white power thing going. Now they're doing it down in Texas. White people are not even the majority in Texas anymore. They haven't been since 2004. Or I should say we haven't been since 2004. Well, I'm going to use they here because I think there are times to differentiate yourself. This is one of them. And so the white power structure in Texas has said, okay, we're gonna gerrymander Texas. So even though over 90% of the population growth, which has given us 2 new members of Congress, even though over 90% of that population growth has occurred in the Hispanic and black communities, we're going to give 100% of those 2 new congressional seats to white people. And we're going to strengthen the power of white people in Texas. A minority. This is called minority rule. This is, you know, this is not the party Abraham Lincoln founded. This is a party of white racists and libertarian billionaires who don't believe in the American way, who don't believe that America should have a social safety net, who don't believe in Medicare or Social Security, who don't want, you know, basically they don't want anything positive happening for the average person coming out of government because they think that only billionaires should be doing those things. Only the free market should solve all problems in society. And this is creating, by the way, now a crisis. You've got, you know, the Trump open fascists like Steve Bannon. And the question is, are these billionaires, these right-wing billionaires who think, you know, everything is economic, are they going to continue to support a Republican Party that is nakedly racist and fascist? And it looks like the answer is yes, they are going to. So what does this mean for America? I'm watching these guys. I mean, you've got 17 states now that have passed 30 laws, 19 states that have passed 30 laws to set up the theft of the 2024 presidential election.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
Will they get away with it? How is this going to play out? Will they break the filibuster today to stop it?